everybody, Zamara Angel here, and today we're going to be playing Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. It's a murder mystery game that came out back in 2005. Okay, I've played this game once before, but I don't remember most of the game, just like with my other Let's Play. So bear with me, and hopefully you enjoy the videos. Alright, here we go. Graphics aren't too bad for a game that's 11 years old.
I hope my son's antics don't disturb you.
Madam, were it in my power to sentence him to 30 days hard labor, they would not disturb me in the slightest.
Smashing day for it. On holiday?
I'm glad this game works on my Windows 7 computer. I was looking at the back of the...
It isn't true.
Sorry, I keep pausing because they talk and I don't want to
Pardon, ma'am.
interrupt all of it.
Yes, of course, yes. Have to be, wouldn't it?
But the OS requirements say Windows 98, ME, 2000, and XP, and considering none of those are supported operating systems anymore... That guy looks white as a ghost with these graphics.
I suppose I'll be expected to tend to his wounds after he piles up, if I don't feel at that. No one injured, at least. No apparent damage to the cars. Young fool must lead a charmed life.
That's the lot. My money's on the servants. The servant's usually always the guilty one in the end.
I'm gonna try not to talk too much while the dialogue's going, but
Welcome to Sticklehaven, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Davis, the harbour master.
I don't want to have this video flagged for any kind of copyright or anything like that, so I will talk a little bit,
Sorry. Waiting for me.
just to help break things up.
That's everyone then. The other bags are already on board the boat there.
With the audio, I mean. And here's our main character.
Blimey. It must be him. In the flesh.
All set, Naricot?
Ready, sir.
Right. I'll leave it to you then. Sea's calm. Should be a pleasant crossing. If you leave now, there's a squall coming.
I wonder if I
smell
can
it.
adjust the brightness.
Why is it called Shipwreck Island?
Well, the weather can turn nasty quickly. There are many submerged rocks, lots of wrecks hereabouts, and that big rock at the tip is said to resemble a beached schooner. The locals call it Ship Rock.
You're not from around these parts, then, Mr. Narracott?
No, sir, I'm not.
It'll never work.
Wonder what she meant by that.
If you would be so good as to follow that path up to the house, my wife will show you to your rooms. I expect you'd all like to freshen up after your journey. Where's Fred?
Under the weather. I took his place.
You'd be the brother then. I see the resemblance. Will you help me with the bags?
Yes. I've been hoping to get a look at the house.
Chapter 1. 10 little sailor boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9.
Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Narracott. Everything and everyone nicely in place. I must say I don't much like these clouds. I expect you should be heading back without delay.
Now it begins. Don't worry, Fred. I won't let you down. Just a drizzle. It's going to get much worse.
Okay. Alright, and just a brief jaunt down to where our boat is. Alright, with our cursor, occasionally bubbles will pop up. They'll show you what you can do. If you see an eye,
grass is
obviously
slippery and
you
the slope is steep.
can look at
I'd
things.
best stick to the path.
When you see this icon, you can either walk or run. If you click once, you start walking. You click 2 times in a row, you start running. Makes things a little bit faster. And ooh, looks like we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No chance of returning to the mainland now.
Alright, let's head back up to the house. And I know this is not the way to the house, but I'm just gonna do some checking over here. Aha.
Narracott, you gave me quite a turn.
Taking a stroll, Mr. Marston.
Just a short constitutional before dressing for dinner.
That storm's closing in. This drizzle's about to turn ugly.
Yes, looks beastly.
What's that you're carrying?
This? Just some paper and string I found on the beach. Roger seems like a tartar for order and cleanliness. Thought I'd help out.
Terribly nice of you.
Well, I'm heading to the house. If I were you, I'd do the same. Won't do to get caught out here when the brunt of this storm hits.
I'll be along directly, Mr. Marston.
Yes, yes, of course, old boy. Whatever you say.
Okay.
That was rather odd behavior. I
Yeah.
should return to the house. Without my boat, I'm as trapped here as any of the guests. Surely an upstanding chap like Rogers wouldn't turn me out.
Alright.
Slick rocks and steep drops. Potentially lethal combination.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Let's get out of this rain.
I should tell Rogers about my little boat misfortune.
Alright, and when your cursor has a mouth bubble next to it, you can talk to people.
Mr. Narracott, why are you still on the island?
Someone scuttled my boat.
Scuttled? Wrecked, you mean? But who on earth would do such a thing?
I intend to find out.
But that means, who will come for us on Monday?
Unless this storm lets up, no one.
Dear me, dear me. Come in, come in. You'll catch your death out here. I must help my wife prepare
Okay.
dinner. I'll have her fix you up something in the kitchen.
Thank you.
Where he's going to sleep, I'll never know. Ethel won't like this one bit.
Alright. When you see the hand icon, you can pick things up. Now in this game you want to do as much exploring as possible, talk to the guests as much as you can. Now, in this game, some of the characters are, spoiler alert, going to die, but some of them are optional. I can't remember which ones at this time. Over here you pick up the glasses and the shaker. But you do have the option of saving some of them. This game, I believe, has 3 or 4 different endings. I'm going to go for the one where I try to save all of the optional characters.
Your shot, Judge.
Yes. You haven't left me much, I confess.
I knew judges listened.
Depending on the choices I make
I
in the
never knew
game,
they made them as well.
Oh, some
may not be able
judges
to do
may
that, but
have
that's the ending I'm
cause.
going
some
for.
Doctors as well, I expect.
Alright.
May I ask you a question?
Not now, man. Can't you see we're busy?
May I
See,
interrupt
he'll
for a
talk
moment?
to us.
I take it you don't play snooker, Mr. Narracott.
Snooker.
Otherwise you'd know
Never
you should
heard
be as
pool
still as
played.
Lot's wife.
That, but then again, I'm not sure if they're actually playing pool or another game. I've never seen red balls and a white and a black. Then again, it could just be the game's graphics. Like I said, this is an old game.
I can't open it.
Okay.
It's locked.
Let's go this way, actually. Gonna go to the other side. Excuse me. Alright, let's head upstairs. Now, there's 2 ways to get up the stairs. One way is, obviously, the stairs. But that has an animation that takes a little while to go through. It's not a big deal, but I prefer going through
Locked.
the, well, we'll go ahead and unlock that door here in a minute. This door will lead down in the foyer? Not sure exactly how that's pronounced. But I'll go ahead and show you that right now. Okay, that door back here is actually locked as well. We have to go this way to unlock it. It'll take a minute. Alright, and we've got the dining room. The 10 little sailor boys. Oh, speaking of which, almost missed something here. If you go around here, you can actually get in here. And you can look at the fireplace. Grab a box of matches, and you can read this.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
Each one of the game breaks things up into 1 chapter per line. Right now, as you saw earlier in the video, we're on 10 little sailor boys went out to dine. 1 choked his little self, and then there were 9. I'm going to try and break up the gameplay into 1 video per segment. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 videos. Okay. Okay, and these 2 icons, this one is your inventory. You can go in here, see what you've picked up. This section down here is for when you want to put items together or take them apart. I don't believe I have anything that we can take
can't take that
apart
apart.
at the moment. Let's see here.
I'm afraid it's stuck that way.
Nope, nothing right now. But if you want to take a closer look at
Can't see anything of
something,
interest.
you pick up the item and you click on the magnifying glass, and it'll bring it up a lot bigger right in the middle of the screen. You can flip it over. If it can flip over, you can read it, things like that. And to take things apart or put them together, you click on this icon when you have items here. This is our journal. You have general, which shows information about the island. Here's the rhyme. Click on the arrows left and right to go through different things. See the guests. We've already met Mr. Marston. That's the gentleman who had the paper and string in his hand. And Thomas Rogers, that's the butler. Henry Bloor is the gentleman in the blue shirt. That said we resembled somebody. We'll find out some more information about that here shortly. In the meantime, just making sure that there's nothing else here I can interact with. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the dining room and get those other 2 doors unlocked. Sure. Okay, you can go over here, pick up a flashlight. Nothing else of interest here. And your icon will flash flash when you've picked something up.
It's a rather ostentatious painting.
Okay. Let's go around here. Nothing of interest. Okay. And here is the
It'll never
kitchen.
work, I tell you. We should never have agreed. A house party only a week after we arrive? And no other help?
Ethel, calm yourself.
You promised me. Never again, you said.
How was I to know? Oh, Mr. Narracott. Ethel will be preparing you a meal in here once the guests are served.
Okay. Can pick up this copper wire basket over here.
I see nothing remarkable.
Okay, you can look around at various things, but usually all you get
It's a
is...
sturdy cast iron stove.
Yeah. Comment with the obvious about what it is, or
Copper pots, just as I'd expect.
little comments like that, which honestly I don't even understand. Just what I'd expect. I wouldn't expect copper pots,
Mr.
I'd
Rogers,
expect just
I
pots.
was wondering if I might have a word.
Please don't interfere with my duties. It could mean the sack.
You'd think that talking with the other guests would be part of the duties, you know. Maybe we had to tell them something. But, Alright. Not much in this immediate area. If you go this way, you can go in here. This is the butler's and housemaid's room, who we just met, the Rogers. So we can go over here, pick this up, and this. Pack of sewing needles, letter for Rogers.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
See, this is one thing that's a little annoying about the game. You pick up a letter, you look at it here, and it just puts it in your journal. I would think you would just want to do that while you're looking at it and just leave it there so that the owners of the room wouldn't notice it's missing. But, games do things a certain way. You can look at the paintings.
It's a painting of a flower. Looks like a water lily.
Look at the bathrooms. Nothing of interest here as of right now. Okay, and that's it for this room. Okay, we can either go up the stairs or go here. I'm gonna go here because I need to unlock this door. This is the one door that goes to the stairs. And I guess now that I think about it, the small animation of you going up the stairs does save a little bit of time. Instead of going into that door, up the stairs, up here. And personal preference.
Would you just look at all these silk sheets? All embroidered GS. I'll bet that was that actress who used to live here. I've dropped them on this filthy floor.
And sometimes it does give you choices. Like right now we can either give her a hand or be, well, not so friendly.
Can I give you a hand, Mrs. Rogers?
Thank you, Mr.
I'm going with the
Narracott.
friendly
You
options.
seem like a good sort. I'm sorry for your boat.
And we can try
I'm
talking to
much too
her,
busy
but
to gossip just now.
okay, and this is the door that was locked before. Okay. So we can start going through rooms one by one,
Locked.
as long as they're unlocked. Okay, and most of the rooms have a shared bathroom. I believe they're called Jack and Jill bathrooms. Okay. Alright, and this is the doctor's room. You go into each room and you can find out a little bit, obviously a little bit about the
I
characters.
copied the contents into my
Also,
notebook.
there's going to be a letter or some sort of notice in each room stating how the character was invited to the island. Like Dr. Armstrong's letter says, "Dear Dr. Armstrong, you came highly recommended." The doctor was invited to the island to look at the wife's health. Now, this isn't the butler's wife, Mrs. Rogers. This is well, for right now, well, no, here's his name. Mr. U.N. Owen. His wife is the one who is having some issues with arthritis and shaking. We'll find out a little bit more about our hosts here later in this chapter. You can go over here. Here's a doctor's bag. Can't really do anything with it as of right now.
Nothing
You
out
can
of
look
order
at
in here.
it, but that's about
I'd
it.
best not take anything, though. I'm sure he would notice.
Close it up. Okay. You can go through that door. Unlock it. Now, it is a little easy to get turned around in the upper portion. Like, for example, you go into one room and you think it's the main
It's tightly
room,
locked.
and then you come to find out it's the bathroom. I've had that happen a couple of times. I did play the first chapter a little bit, just to get a little bit refamiliarized with the game. Like the mechanics, what you do, you search through things.
This clock has stopped.
Okay, you can look out on the balcony.
I can't open it. It's locked.
Well, you can when the door's unlocked, but, alright.
Polished marble spheres and some books. Nothing worth investigating further.
Okay. And here's one thing. And we're about to meet one of the guests.
Once a bent copper, always a bent copper. Right, Fred?
You're talking through your hat. You were the Purcell gang's inside man on the force, not my brother.
Your brother? Don't try to kid me, Fred. There's still a handsome reward out for you.
Fred is my brother. I'm Patrick Fane.
No reason for me to believe you that I can see. There's still a big reward out for Fred Fane.
You scuttled my boat to trap me here.
You recognized me, too. I saw it in your eyes.
Only because Davis showed Fred the passenger list yesterday. I came in my brother's place. We didn't think you might mistake me for him. Fred is 8 years older than me. Look closely, Blore.
You do look young. I noticed that. Thought it must be the sea air.
You were taking the Purcells' bribes for years. After the Landor case, people began to ask questions. The Purcells needed what the Yank detective novels call a fall guy. My brother was framed. You were in the clear.
Your whole story sounds like a detective novel.
I've never stopped trying to clear Fred's name and put you in Dartmoor prison where you belong. Thanks to your greed, I may now have that chance.
Maybe you're Patrick, maybe you're Fred. I don't know, and I don't much care. You're either a criminal, or you've been harboring one all these years. I wonder what my fellow guests will think of that. Go on, Mr. Narracott. Hop it. I need to prepare for dinner.
Okay, is that...
Locked.
Alright, still locked. Head into this shared bathroom. Not much to see here. Window.
This window leads out to the balcony.
I believe that plays a partly in later chapters. Look at the towels. Look at
Tile
this.
and marble. Quite expensive from the look of it. Towel racks. Brass by the look of them.
Let's see. Can we go in here?
It's
Nope.
tightly locked.
Locked. He should be... Nope, he's still here. Alright, we'll have to come back to this room. I'm gonna go this way. Okay. Sorry, I thought for some reason there was something there. Alright, here's another icon, the keyhole icon. It means that you can peer in the keyhole and spy on the guest. See what they're doing. If I'm remembering right. Yep, it's this gentleman. And we come to find out he's brought a gun with him. Not unusual. If it weren't a murder mystery
Narracott?
game, that is.
I thought you'd be long gone by now. That storm's getting pretty fierce.
Somebody scuttled my boat.
I saw Blore watching you like a hawk eyes its dinner. Could it have been him?
Possibly.
Any idea why?
I'd rather not say.
Suit yourself. I'd better get ready for dinner.
Okay. This one does not have a keyhole, but you can still knock on the door and talk to
Oh, Mr.
her.
Narracott. I thought that you'd left us.
Someone scuttled my boat.
Oh, but that's dreadful.
Sorry about the
Surely
noise.
the harbour master will send
Just
another
ignore him.
boat when you're missed.
Not in this storm, I'm
Got some
afraid.
things around
And
me.
even then, it won't be reported.
Why ever not?
My brother. He knew I might not be immediately back.
I'm terribly sorry for your trouble. The Owens should be arriving shortly. I'm sure you can get a ride back in that boat. If you'll excuse me, I must get ready for dinner.
Okay. Go this way. Okay, and this is Emily, I believe?
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Narracott, I had a question for you. Have you heard anything in Sticklehaven about this house being set up as a guest house?
No, Miss Brent.
No. Mrs. Rogers hasn't either. And who are the Owens?
I haven't met them yet.
Would it surprise you to learn neither have Mr. and Mrs. Rogers? It's odd. Very odd. If you'll excuse me, Mr. Narracott, I must make dinner preparations.
Alright, and here's another keyhole, I believe, and this is the general.
My wife is indisposed, not receiving visitors today.
Your wife, sir?
What?
Your wife?
My wife? Yes. Leslie. I'm sorry, my boy. I was wool gathering, miles away. My apologies. Must dress for dinner now. Send my orderly to me if you will. No, that's not right. What was I thinking? I must get ready for dinner now.
That
Okay.
sounds like the dinner bell.
Mr. Narracott, unfortunately, we are not prepared for your presence at dinner. I would be most happy to deliver you a sandwich later this evening, if that will do.
That will be fine, Rogers. Thank you.
Excellent. Now, if you will excuse me, I must get to serving.
By all means. I can hear them all in the dining room chattering. I can't quite make out what they're saying. This might be a good time to explore the house more thoroughly.
Alright, we're gonna go over here. Missed one room area of the room.
It's a press. Looks like it can hold quite a large amount of fruit.
Okay, go in here to the pantry, get a baster, cheese wheel. I'm trying to remember. Just get the scoop. You can look at a lot of other things, but he won't pick them up.
I don't need to lug this around with me.
Okay. Okay, now we can go this way. Boom. And the only thing... Okay, to grab
These are
some more
very
sheets.
expensive linens. I bet they're very strong.
Alright, we've got some more linens. Oh, nope, those are the ones that we picked up earlier.
I can't see anything of interest.
Okay.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
Alright, we're gonna go in here. Okay, if I'm remembering right, the only room we haven't checked all the way is Bloor's, which... Nope, we've still got the other two rooms, which are... Oh, for the life of me, I cannot think of their names right now. The redhead and the guy in the black suit. Which we're in the redhead's room right now.
This is a fairly sparse makeup case. Vera isn't the type
Vera.
to use much makeup, though.
Okay, we can't look through luggage right now. We can use the balcony to go into other rooms. Okay, you can pick up that. Her letter. King James
I see
Bible.
nothing remarkable. I copied the contents into my notebook. This is quite a makeup supply.
Here.
Emily must be more concerned with aging than she lets on.
Alright, I believe we come in, grab some of the items from there later. Alright, let's head back out to the balcony. First head over here. Look at the telescope. Grab it, I should say.
A hawk with a fish in its talons. The bird theme is starting to get to me.
Alright, we'll go this way. Alright, there's Bloor's room. I'll go in there in a moment. Okay, nothing of interest over here. Go in here, and you get Bloor's room. Okay, that's strange. I could have sworn we went past it. Okay, we can grab the notebook.
I transcribed the pertinent passages in my notebook.
Okay. Go back this way. And use the balcony again. So let's see whose room that was. See, this is why I thought it was Bloor's room. See, there's the clock. Let's see what we have in here. Okay, this is Lombard's room. The
I
gentleman
copied
who
the contents
has
into
the
my notebook.
suit. Okay, anything else of interest here?
It's a chair. It doesn't look very comfortable.
No kidding.
I guess Owen made sure no clocks in the house are working. This one is stopped.
Okay. Alright, this door leads to the shared bathroom, so we've got that unlocked now. Go here.
It would be incredibly improper for me to go through a lady's luggage. I won't do it.
Okay, and this is...
It's a small waste paper bin. It's empty.
the Emily's room where we were before, yeah. Let's go here. Over here, we're gonna pick up a medical card.
Various toiletries. Nothing of interest that I can see.
Okay. Aha, there we go. Found a pipe stem. We'll need that here in a minute. Okay, go out here. We need to go to the general's room, which, if I'm not mistaken, is right here. Go over here, grab his letter. Go over here.
It appears to be a portrait of the general. Must be quite old. He's standing with a very young woman. It's signed, "To John, my husband, Leslie."
Okay, there's something. Oh, pink.
I see nothing remarkable. I see nothing remarkable.
Hang on a second. Okay, I was just making sure that none of the cabinets... Okay, this is Marston's room. This up.
Nothing else to see about that.
At that. Open this up. Okay. So we're gonna do
I
that.
copied the contents into my notebook. This could use a closer look.
Alright.
Let me examine this further.
Okay. The things that don't turn around when you click on them, they will go back to the inventory. So this says King James Song of Solomon 3. So,
I see nothing remarkable.
King James Bible.
They don't get along.
Okay. I'll have to look into that a little bit more later.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
Just going to...
This could use a closer look.
Alright, Eastern Alliance telegram. Okay.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
And
Let
this
me
is the
examine
medical
this
card
further.
for Emily. It shows that she is extremely allergic to insect stings. Bees, wasps, things of that nature. Okay, and for some reason we can look at... Oh, I remember the reason now. We'll come back to that at a later time. Okay. No. It's the wrong room. Okay, there's a room where we've missed something. Here we go. Tobacco pouch.
I don't need it.
Don't need the
I know pack rat.
ashtray. Okay. Trying to remember who exactly whose room this is. This is the judge's room, if I'm not mistaken.
It would certainly be noticed if I rifled through his luggage. I better not.
Let's see if it'll... Okay, it will go out into the balcony. Go here. And we're in the doctor's room. Alright. If I'm not mistaken, that is all we can do in this room. With the ear icon, you can listen.
Aha! With my ear against the door, the conversation becomes quite clear.
Wine, Doctor?
No, thank you, Rogers. I never touch alcohol. Except for sterilizing wounds or instruments, of course.
I tried to collect some apples from an orchard on the island, but a bee stung me. I'm afraid I dropped the basket and ran. No need to apologize. I myself am dreadfully allergic to bees, wasps, hornets. I'm sorry to hear there are bees here. Oh, you must take care. There's all sorts of those bee house things. What do you call it?
An apiary.
Oh, I thought that was for monkeys.
Ethel.
Miss Claythorne, we've never met, but I do seem to recall your name.
Oh?
Yes, from when I stayed at that stuffy old hotel near St. Trednick. Do you know it?
No. No, I don't think so.
Really? How extraordinary. I was so shocked.
Narracott says he's not Fred Fane, but his brother. It may well be, but he bears watching.
Seems like such a nice man.
They said the same thing about Stevenson, the child murderer. I confess I've never met our host, Mr. Owen. What kind of a man is he? Rogers?
We haven't seen the Owens either, sir. We were only engaged a week ago by letter, and asked to make the house ready.
So no one has actually met the Owens.
How extraordinary.
I, for one, will have some sharp questions for the Owens when they do arrive.
Okay. Should be able to listen a second time and get some more information.
Aha! With my ear against the door, the conversation becomes quite clear.
Did anyone else see the poem over the fireplace?
10 Little Sailor Boys. Yes, I saw it.
And here before us as the centerpiece of our table are the 10 little sailor boys themselves, all looking correct and polished.
I like a neat and tidy house, Your Honor.
Robson, the man who built this house, was a sailor. Perhaps Mr. Owen inherited them from him.
Another question for Mr. Owen.
As I remember, the rhyme was about soldier boys. Highly inappropriate, as I recall.
There are many variations.
You seem to know quite a bit about it, Miss Claythorne.
I was a governess before seeking secretarial work. Governesses spend a lot of time with nursery rhymes.
All gratuitously gruesome, if you ask me. So much violence in the world today.
Sometimes violence is necessary, Miss Brent.
There speaks a soldier for you.
A realist, Miss Brent, not a dreamer. If action needs to be taken, I, for one, am fully prepared to take it.
How does the famous rhyme go, Miss Claythorne?
Must we harp on this topic at dinner?
Miss Brent may be right, Mr. Marston. The rhyme is a bit gruesome. It's there over the fireplace in the parlor if you care to have a look later.
If you think so. Excellent meal, Rogers. My compliments to both you and your good woman. You've done your employers proud.
Thank you, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Most gratifying, I'm sure. After dinner drinks will be served in the front parlor.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please. This is your host, UN Owen. You are charged with the following indictments. Edward George Armstrong, that you did upon the 14th day of March 1925 cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. Emily Caroline Brent, that upon the 5th of November 1931 you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. William Henry Blore, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor on October 10th, 1928. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that on the 11th day of August 1935 you killed Cyril Ogilvy Hamilton. Philip Lombard, that upon a date in February 1932 you were guilty of the death of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that on the 4th of January 1917 you deliberately sent your wife's lover Arthur Richmond to his death. Anthony James Marston, that upon the 14th day of November last you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that on the 6th of May 1929 you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that upon the 10th day of June 1934 you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
Doctor!
Only fainted, Rogers. I'm sure she'll be fine. Narracott, you get my bag from my room?
Yes, of course.
Stout fellow. Marston, in a moment I'll want help to get her to her room. Of course. Behind the kitchen, is it, Rogers?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You can use that door.
Please, Narracott, I need my bag as soon as possible.
Okay, you can try to talk to people, but he's gonna just yell at us and say, "Get my bag!" Alright. Okay, I'm trying to remember which room is the doctor's. This way, if I'm not mistaken. Nope. That's Brent's room. I actually have a map I should probably be using. Oh. Let's see. Nope, wrong room. Oh, here's where the map is. Okay, map. Here we go. Oh, okay. It is this way. It's right here. Okay, pick up the doctor bag. Then you're going to want to head down to the servants' quarters. And the fastest way to do that is to go here. And then down here. And then here. And we'll find Dr. Armstrong and Mrs. Rogers. Grab the medical bag. And when you see the gear, you can interact with people or things.
Thank you, Mr. Narracott. I am in your debt.
Okay. Try to talk
Perhaps
to him,
we can
but...
talk later. For now, I must see to my patient.
Alright, let's head back to the main area. Where everybody is. Get some more information.
Now, Rogers, tell us about that extraordinary voice.
It was Mr. Owen, sir. In his letter, he wrote to me to put it on the gramophone once you were all settled in here after dinner.
That was Mr. Owen's voice?
You doubt that it was?
No. I thought I recognized it.
And
Sure,
I just
I'm
realized my
mistaken.
mic was away from my
A
mouth.
disgraceful
Sorry about that
practical
if my
joke.
voice was a little
You
far
think
away.
it was a joke?
What else could it be?
I will need to hear more evidence before offering an opinion.
Okay.
Mr. Marston and I carried Mrs. Rogers to her room. I gave her a mild sedative. She's resting comfortably.
Whoever it was on that recording, that person knows or has taken the trouble to find out a good deal about us all. He was correct about Seton. I presided at the trial, but all I did was execute a guilty man.
I remember the case. As I recall, there was some talk.
Happily, guilt and innocence are decided by those of us qualified to make a judgment, not by gossip. Of course, there is one omission in that recording. Mr. Narracott, of course. Although to hear Mr. Blore tell it, he might have earned a place on that list, had Mr. Owen been so inclined.
Okay. Time to start talking to everybody.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
It's a matter of interpretation, you understand.
Basically,
I'd
you're going
have
to go
to say,
around and ask
yes.
each one of the guests the same type of questions.
Will you tell me how it
Is there any truth to the
Elder.
accusation against you? Will you
I'd been
tell
up
me
all
about
night with an
it?
emergency case. My nerves were shot, hands shaking. But I had to operate. I had to try and
This is
save
going to be
her.
a little bit tedious,
to
but
pick
you
me
can't
up
move
to
on
steady
until you
myself,
talk
but
to everybody.
I bungled it. It wasn't the drink, I swear. It was an accident. Could have happened to anyone in my profession.
Also,
What brought you
brought
here to
you
Shipwreck
here,
Island?
even
Owen
though we
sent me a note
already know.
asking me to have a look at his wife, who's been suffering from arthritis and muscle spasms.
Okay.
What was the gossip concerning the Seton case?
I'm not one to spread gossip to just anyone about a man as distinguished as Justice Wargrave. If I were certain about it, perhaps. But I'm not.
That is all for now, Dr.
I'll
Armstrong.
have to ask him again later. See what information we can get about that. Alright. Okay, we're gonna talk to these two.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
The name sounded vaguely familiar. I expect it will come to me.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
Got a wire from a pal of mine, Badger Barkley. Surprised me at the time because I had an idea the old horse had gone to Norway. Told me to roll up here.
That will be all, Marston.
Some people, obviously, you can ask more questions to others.
Any
only
truth
one or
to the
two.
accusation against you?
There isn't a word of truth in it. Miss Brady was always in poor health. Always. From the time we came to her.
Okay.
Will you tell me how it happened?
There was a storm, as fierce as the one brewing outside right now when she was taken bad. The telephone was out of order. I went for the doctor on foot, but he got there too late.
Were you mentioned in the will?
Barely. Certainly not what we were led to believe. She was just saying it, you see, to ensure our devotion to her. Beg pardon. I'm not sure what came over me just then. The strain of tonight, I expect, and worry over Mrs. Rogers, of course.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
Isn't that obvious, sir? My wife and I were hired through an agency in Plymouth. Manservant, housekeeper, cook, that's what we are.
Good evening, Mr. Rogers.
Okay. Let's see here.
No need to call unnecessary attention to my snooping.
Alright, no, I already spoke to him.
Now is not the time for chatter.
Spoke to him. Alright, gonna talk to these four.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
I remember Seaton perfectly well. Playwright, charged with the murder of a chorus girl. He was found guilty, hung himself in his cell 3 days later, saved the Crown the expense of doing it for him.
Good evening, Judge.
Okay, that was a quick conversation.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
About that child, Cyril Hamilton. I was nursery governess to him.
Will you tell me how it happened?
I'd like to tell you. Cyril was forbidden to swim out far. One day, my attention was distracted. I couldn't get there in time. It was awful. But it wasn't my fault. At the inquest, the coroner exonerated me. Oh, and his mother. She was so kind. If she didn't blame me, why should this awful thing be said?
Are you sure you're telling me everything?
I'm telling you all I'm going to, Mr. Narracott.
Which means that you're holding some information back.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
I was engaged through the Skilled Women's Agency to be Mrs. Owen's personal secretary for the remainder of the summer. Then I hope to return to teaching.
A pleasure as always, Miss Claythorne. Any truth to the accusation against you?
Fellow got hold of a detestable rumor, nothing more. Arthur Richmond was one of my officers. I sent him on a reconnaissance, he was killed. Natural course of events in wartime.
Thank you, General.
Okay.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
I admit it's a ghastly story, but I can't say it's wrong. Owen did his research well. The accusation is absolutely true.
Will you tell me how it happened?
It was written up in the papers at the time. A story of self-preservation, pure and simple. A hunting party lost in the bush. The great white hunter checks the food supplies, assesses his chances, and clears out on his own.
Leaving 21 men to die.
Not very Puka Sahib, I'm afraid.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
Owen's attorney, a man named Archibald Morris, rang up one day. Wanted to give me 100 guineas to join this house party. I was to put myself at Owen's disposal in case my rather specialized talents were required.
What specialized talents would those be?
You might say I'm a good man in a scrap.
Thank you, Lombard.
Okay. Just these two.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
Look, Narracott, if that's what you want to call yourself. The rules have changed. Can't you see that? The past is past. It's the present we should be worrying about. Something is not right here.
Will you tell me how it happened?
All right. Perhaps I was doing the odd favor for the Purcells. But if your brother was framed, I had nothing to do with it. Yes, they paid me to perjure myself about Landor. Thanks to them, I was able to put enough away to set up my own detective agency. Nothing fancy, but I've been straight ever since, I swear.
Landor died.
He got penal servitude for life and died in Dartmoor a year later. Not my fault he was such a delicate man.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
I run a little detective agency in Plymouth these days. I'm on a job. To protect Mrs. Owen's jewels, the letter said. Mrs. Owen, my foot. I don't believe there's any such person.
Thanks, Blore.
Alright.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
Beatrice Taylor was in service with me. Not a nice girl, as I found out too late. Loose. No morals whatsoever.
Will you tell me how it happened?
It was some time before I found out she was what they call in trouble. Her parents were decent folk, too. I'm glad to say they did not condone her behavior when I told them of it.
What happened to Beatrice?
Naturally, I did not keep her an hour under my roof. No one shall ever say that Emily Brent condoned immorality.
How did she die?
Not content with having one sin on her conscience, she committed a still graver sin. She took her own life, threw herself in the river. If she had behaved like a decent young woman, she'd be alive today.
You have no regrets?
She made an excellent breakfast. I miss that. Fresh juice every day.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
I received a letter with a signature that was not very easy to read. It purported to be from a woman I'd met at a certain summer resort 2 or 3 years ago. I am quite certain I have never met or become friendly with anyone of the name of Owen.
I overheard you mention St. Trebnick to Miss Claythorne.
I was staying at a seaside hotel near St. Trebnick this same week of August 4 years ago. That boy Cyril Hamilton drowned near there. It was the talk of the town. His half-brother was much older. Hugo, I think his name was. Cyril was a vile child, by all accounts, but first in line for the family title and estates. When he died, it all went to Hugo. He was just about Miss Claythorne's age. There was talk of something between them.
You're suggesting Vera let the boy drown so the man she loved could inherit?
That would be idle gossip. I don't indulge in idle gossip. I've only told you the facts of the case as I remember them.
Thank you, Miss Brent.
Okay. There's something we need to do to trigger...
I copied the contents into my notebook.
I could have sworn I already did that.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
Okay. Guess it does it a couple times, but only in once. Okay. Something...
I don't think he's in the mood for conversation. Now is not the time for chatter.
Maybe I
The
missed
time for
talking
talk
to
has
somebody.
passed. The time for talk has passed.
Okay, these 4 are done. Okay, we'll get back to the radio later. Let's see.
Now is not the time for chatter. I don't think he's in the mood for conversation. I have more important things to do than chat.
Okay.
That's Shipwreck Island. Those currents appear quite deadly. Those currents appear quite deadly.
Okay. There's something we need to do to trigger a cutscene. I'm trying to remember exactly.
The drawer is locked.
What?
To go out in that storm now would be reckless and foolhardy.
Okay, here's a puzzle. Okay. First, you've got to...
I transcribed the pertinent passages in my notebook. I think I heard
there,
a
you
click.
hear a click.
Could be imagining it, though. I transcribed the pertinent passages in my notebook.
Then you put this one here.
I think I heard a click. I could be imagining it.
Come on.
I transcribed the pertinent passages in my notebook.
And then you put this one here, and you get access to the secret passageway. There's another note. You'll find several of them in this chapter.
Let me examine this further.
From UN Owen. Talk is cheap and rumors can be ugly. Keep your secrets safe. And this
bears a
one
closer look.
says, powerful friends want to shine some light on the matter. Flowery speeches may win you a few friends.
Property of Teresa Robson. I transcribed the interesting passages into my notebook.
Okay. You can look at this.
Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves. Oh, makes the eyes water a bit.
Okay.
This is an odd sort of power cord. Doesn't seem to fit into a regular socket.
Okay, this is...
It's a shortwave radio. It could be useful if I could get it
Thank
working.
you. I
It
was...
seems to be missing quite a few parts.
Forgot he describes sometimes what he sees. Yes, it's a shortwave radio that'll come in handy later. This is another puzzle that we'll have to get some information for.
The handle jiggles but won't open. I must have dialed in the wrong combination.
Or no combination. We'll come back to that later. We've got some boxes here, but there's nothing in them. Okay.
That looks like the jetty here on the island. He looks quite happy. She a little less so. A rather beautifully made globe of the world.
Okay, and I think that's it for this room.
Wargrave on justice. I can only imagine the egotism that lurks within those pages.
Little jibe at the judge there. Okay. Alright, there's something else we can check here. We can grab this.
Interesting
There we
history
go.
Shipwreck Island has. I'd studied up on it before I came down.
What are the names of those two people I'm accused of killing?
John and Lucy Combs. I made a note of it.
Must have been a couple of kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
For them or for you?
Well, I was thinking for me, but of course you're right, sir. It was damned bad luck on them. Of course it was a pure accident. They rushed
This
down
would be
to
a
some
game that
college
would be
or
interesting for them to remake.
English roads are
See what they
hopeless
do with the
Scotland
graphics
is
and
the
things
place.
like that. I know they did
Well, anyway, it wasn't my fault.
another one of my favorite games, the Nancy Drew game. Secrets Can Kill. Alright, and here comes interesting part. And it's like, oh shit! What'd they put in my drink?
This
Poof.
man is dead.
Thank you for stating the
Did Marston
obvious.
choke to death? You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation right enough.
Was Marston poisoned?
Can't say exactly. Everything points to one of the cyanides. No distinctive smell of prussic acid. Probably potassium cyanide. It acts pretty well instantaneously.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, without a doubt.
Do you think it was suicide?
Seems like it.
Could he have been murdered?
Not my line of country. I'm a doctor, not a detective.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Not I. Personally or professionally.
What do you think that record means?
A disgraceful and heartless practical joke, I suppose.
That is all for now, Dr. Armstrong.
Okay.
Do you think it was suicide?
You conduct yourself well, Mr. Narracott, if you don't mind my saying so. Mr. Blore has told us that you are not what you appear, yet you told him you were not a detective.
No, sir. But I've read many detective novels. I even had one of those junior detective kits when I was a boy. Magnifying glass, fingerprint powder.
Junior detective kit. Wonderful.
Ah, an amateur sleuth then. You appear to have something of a gift for it.
About the suicide, Judge.
I'm not yet prepared to offer an opinion.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
I knew his father, the Duke, and his elder brother. Like so many younger sons of his class, Anthony Marsden was a bit of a wastrel, as you will have gathered. There were other rumors of late, of his dabbling in politics, but this is not the proper forum for that discussion.
Dabbling in politics. Interesting.
What do you think that record means?
May I answer that in a moment after asking a question of my own?
Of course.
Does anyone know Mr. Owen's full name?
My letter was signed only U.N. Owen.
Yes. U.N. Owen. Or, by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown. I'll now answer your question, Mr. Narracott. The name, the recording, the circumstances under which all but you were lured to this island. I have no doubt in my mind that we have been invited here by a madman, very possibly a dangerous, homicidal lunatic.
Why did you retire, Judge?
I know there was talk about my competence, even my ego running wild, but the truth of it is very simple. My health. A lifetime sentencing my fellow man, and now a higher power has passed judgment on me.
Thank you kindly, Judge.
Okay. That's it for these two.
Do you think Marston committed suicide?
Just like
He
before,
didn't
some of
seem
these
particularly remorseful.
conversations will be
Of course,
fairly
the
quick.
record might have set him off somehow. A new incident long after the fact may create a strong feeling of guilt or fear. Wouldn't you say, Doctor?
Possible. Quite possible.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Heard of him, but we'd never crossed paths or swords.
What do you think that record means?
There is something wrong with this entire weekend, and especially with our host, Mr. Owen.
I believe we're all coming around to that conclusion.
Yes, but I know something you don't, Judge.
What is that?
I recognize the voice on that recording, and it was definitely not Mr. Owen.
Who was it?
Not so fast, Narracott. Not until I think things through a bit more.
That'll be all, Mr. Lombard.
Okay.
Do you think Marston committed suicide?
You'd never think he would kill himself. He was so alive. When he came down that hill in his car, he looked... Oh, I can't explain.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No. I'm sure I would have remembered.
Steady, Miss Claythorne. Lad had his faults, you know.
Okay.
What do you think that record means?
It was unfair, what it said. Very unfair.
You seem to be a remarkably perceptive girl, Miss Clayton.
Why, thank you, Mr. Narracott.
Is there anything you can tell me about our fellow castaways?
Castaways? You make it sound so...
Romantic?
I was going to say dramatic. Let me see. No one has confided any secrets to me, I'm afraid. Oh, except one.
That is
I really don't know you well enough to answer you.
a pleasure as always, Miss Clayton.
Dangle a little bit of information and then nope, not gonna give it.
Do you think it
Got
was
to talk to
suicide?
these two. I'll have to
How
go back.
dare you? My wife died of natural causes, sir. A long illness. Nothing more.
I meant Marston.
Marston? No honor in him that I could see.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No, I don't think so. Not a military man, I'd wager. Lombard now. He reminds me of someone from my command. But the name wasn't Lombard.
What do you think that record means?
Ugly. After 30 years. Ugly thing to say.
Thank you, General. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
I shouldn't have said Mr. Marston was a suicidal type of gentleman at all.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Never clapped eyes on him. And who gave you the authority to question us?
You're under no obligation to answer me. What do you think that record means?
I don't like it. Not one bit. Very queer, the whole situation.
That is all for now, Mr. Blanc. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
Yes. In my experience, certain types of individuals, when faced with their sin, will then commit the greater one.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No.
What do you think that record means?
There is something very peculiar about it.
Good evening to you, Miss Brent.
Where have you been, Rogers?
I went to check on my wife, sir. She is resting comfortably. But I'm afraid I have some distressing news.
Oh?
One of the China figures of a sailor boy has been broken off.